What if events went differently in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? What if the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had the Venom Symbiote? Welcome back, my fellow watchers of the multiverse, to yet another brand new What If crossover video, and in today's video we're going over the highly anticipated video where we dive into the symbiotes and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, this was a story that was requested by me a couple months ago. A lot of people actually wanted to see this video happen. And for me to actually do this request, I was like, what if we gave all of the different Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle different symbiotes? So this particular storyline is going to cover the 2003 cartoon, one of my favorites actually, so I can't wait to get into this. But that being said, my fellow watchers, do make sure to check out the Patreon and the Substack if you guys would like to see like brand new exclusive updates. That's where you're going to find at the Patreon, but if you're going to find like written work, that's all on my Substack. So again, I would highly recommend that you take a look at that. But that being said, grab some popcorn and let's dive into the brand new What If video. Upon returning to the sewers late one night, Donatello brings with him a strange black creature, which he plans to study for scientific purposes. But when Michelangelo gets his hands on the parasite, which he mistook as a super secret pizza sauce Donatello must have invented, the youngest of the four turtles becomes the first host of the Venom Symbiote. It does not stop there, however, as Michelangelo spreads the parasite to his brothers. Will the TMNT be able to free themselves from the symbiote's hold? Location: New York City. The sewers. Time: 12:01 a.m. It was quite late at night, so the sewers were dark and quiet. But hidden within the shadows was a young turtle named Donatello, who was carefully making his way through his smelly, yet sweet home. Landing softly on the ground, Donnie tiptoed across the cold concrete towards his lab, trying his best not to wake his brothers and master. The genius turtle knew he was in for an earful if they saw him now, so he would much rather have his incoming lecture in the morning. Donatello looked down at the glass jar in his hands and frowned. "Just what are you?" the turtle thought to himself. He was quickly pulled from his thoughts, however, when a low, raspy voice addressed him from the darkness. "Donatello, you have some explaining to do." Sighing, Donatello slowly turned around to face his sensei, Splinter, who was sitting in his favorite brown chair. The rat flipped on the lamp on the small table next to him, and Donnie internally began to panic at the deep scowl on his master's face. Greetings, Master Splinter. Nice night tonight, right?" Splinter stayed silent, his eyes narrowing at his son. "Well," Donatello cleared his throat and tried to inch his way into his lab. "It's pretty late, so I'm about to hit the hay." "What are you holding?" Splinter asked flatly. "Oh!" Donnie exclaimed, as he casually placed the jar he was holding behind his back. "Nothing. Not anything to worry about, really." The turtle laughed nervously while shifting his purple bandana, which felt slightly tighter now. Master Splinter was not at all convinced, and he stood from his chair to stand before Donatello. The turtle watched as his father looked up at him with an arched brow, unsure of what the rat was going to do next. That was when Splinter whacked the poor turtle on his head with his cane, causing Donatello to let go of the glass jar due to the surprise attack. He gasped, terrified of what would happen if the container were to break, but fortunately his master was one step ahead of him. Well, using his tail, Master Splinter had grabbed the jar, and he instantly pulled his tail back before Donnie could reach for it. He placed the container into his hand and examined its contents, which happened to be some sort of black liquid. "What have we here, my son?" "Careful with that, master," Donatello warned his master. "It's dangerous." "Dangerous, you say?" Splinter ran his free hand through his long beard. "Then what possessed you to bring it into our home, Donatello?" "Well, I thought it would be much more dangerous leaving it to roam the city than having it here with us, especially when it already tried to attack Casey." Master Splinter's eyes widened when he heard his son's last statement. "Casey Jones? Is he all right?" "It's okay." Donnie held up his hands to calm the rat. "Master Splinter, really, Casey is fine. The whole thing's just got him a little spooked." Splinter nodded. I see, but the rat pointed his wooden cane at Donnie. "If the two of you were in trouble, why did you not call for help?" "I was debating on if I should send your brothers out to search for you because I was so worried about your well-being, Donatello." "Oh, about that." Donatello rubbed the back of his neck and smiled sheepishly at Splinter. I left my shell phone at home and didn't realize it until a little while ago. Time went by so quickly, and it had already gotten dark before I knew it." "Donatello, I know. It was a stupid mistake, and I really am sorry. It won't happen again, Master Splinter." "Make sure it does not, Donatello." Splinter waved his cane menacingly, in front of his son, who absolutely did not want to get hit by it again. "But still, it seems as though you and Casey have been through much tonight. We can discuss this further in the morning." Donnie breathed a sigh of relief. "And you must take care of that thing." Master Splinter shot a glare at the glass jar. "If it attacked Casey as you said, then it is best we keep it confined." "Yes, master." "And no studying it tonight. You are going straight to bed." "Oh, shell," Donatello whined to his father. "But master..." "No buts. I know you, my son. Now off to bed." "Yes, master," Donatello said, and bowed to Splinter, knowing better than to protest against the rat. The turtle then made his way to his room, leaving Master Splinter alone. The father was glad to see his son was home safe, but there was something else on his mind. The feeling that something bad was about to happen, and it had something to do with that black ooze. Location: the sewers. Donatello's laboratory. Time: 12:32 a.m. Not too long after Donatello and Master Splinter went to their separate rooms, another turtle found himself sneaking within the lair. Michelangelo, the youngest of his brothers, who wore an orange bandana, snickered when he reached the kitchen. A special surprise awaited him behind the refrigerator doors, and the turtle could not wait to get his hands on it. "Sorry, Raph, but the Battle Nexus champion is getting the last slice of pizza tonight." Mikey pulled the fridge door open and his smile widened as he stared at the pizza box lying inside. He yanked the box out and quickly opened it to reveal the single slice of pepperoni pizza sitting within it. Drooling, Michelangelo eagerly picked up the slice and was about to take a bite. "Wait a sec." The turtle suddenly held up a finger as he thought out loud. "Something's missing." That was when Michelangelo locked eyes on his genius brother's lab, and a mischievous grin spread across his face. "Oh ho ho, sometimes I think I'm the real genius of the family." Tiptoeing to the laboratory, Mikey peeked inside to make sure no one was around, and once he was sure he was alone, he flipped on a light. "Now let's see what kind of goodies old Don has been hiding from me. There's gotta be something here that'll really bring out the flavor in my pizza." Mikey gazed around the lab, looking for anything that could possibly be edible. There were metal parts for machines, power tools Michelangelo did not know the name of, and random DVDs scattered across the floor. But none of that was what the young turtle was looking for. "Come on, Donnie, I know you're holding out on..." Something suddenly caught Mikey's eye, and he turned to see a cabinet with "Do not open" written across the door in bold black letters. Aha, I knew it. Ignoring the warning, Mikey opened the cabinet door, but was disappointed to find only a single glass jar inside. That and many more warnings, written within the cabinet and around the jar. "Danger! Stay away!" and "Close the door now," were but a few of the messages Michelangelo saw, with the biggest one being, "Mikey, if you're reading this, please turn back, I'm begging you." Donatello knew his younger brother too well. "Well, I'll have you know, Donatello," Michelangelo said as he picked up the glass container, "I'm not falling for your tricks." The turtle examined the jar and the black liquid inside it, making a disgusted face as he did so. "Blah. This doesn't look all that appetizing, though." A thought occurred to Michelangelo after he said that. "Wait. Is this the super pizza sauce I've been begging Donnie to make for the past few months? The one that with one drop, a pizza can be turned into an absolute delicacy?" Mikey gasped at the thought. "I knew you were listening, Donnie. And you made it look unappetizing on purpose, so you could have it all to yourself, right? I know I'm right." Grabbing onto the jar's lid, Michelangelo placed the jar on top of the cabinet and quickly unscrewed the lid. The lid was screwed on pretty tight, but as a teenage mutant ninja turtle, Mikey soon managed to get it off. The turtle mentally congratulated himself for his small victory. Yes, now to just go back and grab my pizza real quick, and then it's chow time. The turtle grinned excitedly and ran out of the laboratory to get his pizza slice from the kitchen. If he had stayed for a second longer, however, Mikey would have noticed the ooze was now moving. Returning to the lab a minute later, Mikey practically skipped his way to the cabinet with the pizza box in his hands. "Now it's time for some..." Frowning, Michelangelo was confused when he saw that the jar had been knocked over, and the black ooze was nowhere to be found. Not even a stain was left behind as a reminder that the liquid was even there in the first place. "Hey, super secret pizza sauce," Mikey whispered, his eyes darting around the room in search of the missing black ooze. "Where did you go, dude? If you don't come back, Donnie's gonna have my shell." But in his head, Mikey thought maybe Don wasn't lying when he said this stuff was dangerous. Something heavy fell onto the floor with a loud thud, causing Michelangelo to almost shriek in terror. But the turtle instantly covered his mouth to prevent him from screaming and waking up his family. "Chill out, Mikey, it's probably nothing." Mikey then grabbed onto his nunchucks that were hanging on his belt and spun them a few times before settling into a fighting stance. At least nothing the Battle Nexus champion can't take care of. Michelangelo focused on the side of Donatello's desk, where a metal gear was laying on the concrete. The turtle slowly approached the gear and moved to pick it up. "Where did you come from?" Before he could even touch the gear, something shot out and attached itself to Mikey's hand. The unexpected action made the turtle let out an ear-piercing scream, no longer caring about being quiet. Soon after, the eldest of the turtle brothers, Leonardo, came dashing into the lab with his signature katanas in hand. Scowling beneath his blue bandana, Leo briskly examined the room, and was shocked to see a horrified Michelangelo flailing his arm around like it was on fire. "Mikey, what's wrong?" "Leo." Michelangelo was relieved to see his older brother, and he reached out to the other turtle. Leonardo was then able to see what the younger turtle was so panicked about. An unknown black substance was fastened onto Mikey's arm, and it was quickly spreading up his neck. "Leo, get this thing off me!" Leo rushed to his brother's aid, but Mikey suddenly screamed in pain, and the black ooze had fully covered his arm. It then transformed the turtle's limb into a large, sharp tentacle, and Leonardo had no time to react, before the tentacle was thrusted in his direction. The elder turtle was thrown out of the lab and into a nearby wall, pieces of brick falling to the ground along with Leo. As he was struggling to get up from the ground, Leo caught a glimpse of a red bandana flowing in the wind as the second oldest turtle in the family came running to his rescue. "What the shell?" Raphael exclaimed as he approached Leonardo and helped his brother to his feet. Leonardo placed a hand on his forehead to steady himself, a headache already forming from being thrown with such force. "Raph, it's Mikey. Something's..." An ear-piercing cry echoed throughout the lair, and Leonardo and Raphael looked to Donatello's lab. Speaking of their genius brother, "Guys, what happened? I heard..." Seeing the stunned looks on his brothers' faces, Donnie followed their gazes and he too was left speechless. Stomping out of the laboratory, Michelangelo's body was almost completely enveloped by the black ooze with the exception of his face. But even that was about to be swallowed up by the liquid. "Help me!" Mikey again tried to reach out, praying that his brothers would save him from whatever this creature was. But it was too late as the turtle's vision became shrouded in darkness, and he was now standing within an endless void. How did he get here? And more importantly, how can he get out? Guys, Michelangelo spun around, desperately looking for an exit from the abyss. "Leo, Donnie, I'd even be happy to see Raph right now." "Michelangelo," someone whispered into Mikey's ear, making the turtle scream again, and he moved to attack the newcomer with one of his nunchucks. "Stay back! I know how to use..." air, but his nunchucks were nowhere in sight. "How? You are known as the party dude, yes? The jokester, the heart of the team." Sure, I guess." "Immature, absent-minded, irresponsible." "Hey, who are you? My dad? Or Leo? Or Raph?" Mikey thought for a moment. "Anyone in general?" The turtle mumbled the last part. "You will be the perfect host." Michelangelo gulped. "Perfect host? For what?" Nefarious laughter boomed within the void, and from the darkness, a pair of glowing white eyes greeted Mikey with a huge smile, a smile that contained 2 rows of sharp, pointy teeth. Why, for Venom, of course. Location, New York City. April in Casey's apartment. Time, 1:01 a.m. Above the antique shop called Second Time Around, the newlyweds April O'Neil and Casey Jones were sleeping peacefully. Well, one of them was at least. While his wife was in a deep slumber, Casey was wide awake, thinking about the events that occurred recently. He had just been doing his routine check on the city. A few hours ago, standing proudly on the rooftop of a building, Casey felt good now that he had completed his rounds of New York City, and he was finally about to head home to April. While he did love fighting crime and protecting the innocent, seeing his beautiful wife's face every day was what truly made life worth living for him. As he turned around to leave, Jones heard a distant cry for help. At first, he thought it was his imagination, but a second later he heard another shout. He quickly moved in the direction of the cries and soon found the person who was responsible for the shouting. Casey made his way down to the ground level, and he watched as a man wearing baggy clothes and a baseball cap thrashing around with his head in his hands. The unkempt man violently kicked a trash can that was nearby and let out an agonizing scream. Getting a closer look at the man, Casey recognized him and addressed him with a calm voice, while removing his iconic hockey mask. "Yo, Frankie, you okay? You don't look so good." Hearing his friend's voice, Frankie spun around to face Jones, and he suddenly grabbed the other man's shoulders. "Casey, you gotta help me. He won't leave me alone. Make him leave me alone." "Who, Frankie? Who won't leave you alone?" Casey took a moment to look around the alleyway they were standing in to see if anyone else was around. but there was no one besides himself and Frankie. "There's no one here, buddy. You're safe." "No!" Frankie shouted, and his grip on Casey tightened. "Frankie, seriously, you have to calm down. Can't you hear him?" "I'm not crazy, Jones. He's here. He wants..." Casey pinched the bridge of his nose and sighed. Whatever happened then, and whatever that thing was that attacked him, Jones just hoped Donatello and the others were all right. Just then, the man's phone started vibrating on the nightstand next to him, and Casey frowned as he had no idea who would be calling this late. He picked up the phone and saw that the caller was none other than Donnie. Speak of the devil. Answering the call, Jones had not expected a distressed Donatello to practically scream at him the moment he answered. "Casey, we could use a little help down here if you don't mind." "Whoa, Don, slow down. What's the problem?" "Well, you know that problem we had to deal with earlier? Can't exactly forget it, pal." Frankie's body began to contort, his limbs bending and twisting in ways that should not be humanly possible. Casey backed away, unsure of what to do. What could he do? He could only watch in horror as Frankie's mouth opened into a silent scream and a black ooze spewed from it. Once it had fully escaped its host, Frankie's body fell to the ground in a heap, motionless. "Frankie," Cassé called out to his friend, hoping to get some kind of response, but unfortunately Frankie remained still. "Do not be afraid." Casey's focus was back on the black fluid that was slowly moving towards him. The man scrambled away from the ooze, but his escape was halted when he reached the end of the alley. "Casey! Casey!" Sorry. Jones shook his head. He had been so caught up in his own thoughts that he had forgotten Donatello was still on the phone. "I'm here, Don." "Casey, this is serious. It's got Mikey." Casey's eyes widened, and he stood up from the bed abruptly, causing April to move a little in her sleep. "Mikey? Don, I told you to lock that thing up tight." "I did. Sorry I didn't account for Mikey going for a midnight snack." "Really? You didn't?" "Okay, I admit, this one's on me. I'll be right there." Casey hung up the phone and grabbed his shoes. As he was preparing to leave, April groaned and sat up in bed. All the noise her husband was making had awoken her from her sleep. "Case, what's going on? Why are you still up?" "Oh crap." Casey went to his wife's side and held her hands in his own. "Sorry, Red, but I got a thing I need to do." April looked at the digital clock that was sitting on the table beside her. "Casey, it's 1 a.m. What could possibly be that important for you to leave at a time like this?" Well, Jones scratched the top of his head while trying to think of an excuse. "You see, an old friend called me just now." "Yeah. He said he was having some problems getting home after working a late shift and his car broke down." "Casey." April suddenly held up 2 of her fingers to Casey's lips. "You are a terrible liar. Now be honest with me. What is going on?" Jones sighed, feeling defeated. Of course, April could see right through him. "Okay, it's the guys. Donnie just called me and I knew it." April jumped out of bed and stomped towards the closet. Jones watched his wife in confusion. "You knew? How?" "Come on, Casey," April chuckled. "I love Splinter, and the turtles like family, but trouble follows them around like clockwork. I just had a hunch is all, but you can tell me the rest on the way, okay?" The redhead had just finished putting on her black and yellow jumpsuit, and she started walking to the front door. But Casey stepped in front of April to block her advance. "No way. I'm not putting my lady in danger. I got this, April, so just wait here for me." At that, April laughed right in her husband's face. "Oh, wow. Now you decide to be overprotective? Seriously, Casey, ever since we met the turtles, our lives have been complete and utter chaos." April cupped Casey's cheek with her hand. But we were always able to get through it together. This time won't be any different. Now let's go." But before he could protest further, April had already left the apartment, leaving a displeased Casey behind. The man both loved and hated how stubborn his wife could be. But this time, Jones could not help but worry. There was this terrible feeling deep in his soul, telling him that things were only going to get worse from here. Attempting to take form, the black ooze rose from the ground, and it looked down at Casey with a sinister smile and glowing white eyes. "Frankie should not have resisted me. I suggest you learn from his mistake." But what? Jones could not even form a complete sentence. He was a stuttering mess as he stared at the creature before him. The creature moved closer to its target. This will only take a moment. "Casey, get back!" A familiar voice shouted to Casey, and without hesitation, the man jumped out of the way just in time to hear a horn blare and see a pair of headlights shining into the alleyway. The black creature visibly cringed from the noise, but that became the least of its problems, as a large vehicle came charging straight at it. If Donatello had not come when he did, Casey would have been the new host for the parasite. Instead, poor Michelangelo has become another of the creature's victims, and was probably suffering as much as Frankie did. No. Snatching his hockey stick from the closet, Jones gritted his teeth and placed his mask over his face. "Don't worry, Mike. We'll save you from that thing. I swear it." To be continued. And that is going to be, what if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had the Venom Symbiote? Now, what did you think of part 1, and would you like to see part 2? If you guys would like to see a part 2, I would highly recommend that you subscribe, show your support by liking the video, and I will make a part 2. A lot of people would like me to continue these episodes, and I mean, I don't mind doing it. It does take some time to do. Some videos end up having roadmaps, some others like this one don't have roadmaps. So again, it all depends on what you, the fans, would like. So again, my fellow watchers, I would highly recommend that you let me know what other requests that you have, as I will be doing everything and anything now at this point, because I'm very hyped. Like, I feel like we're in a new age of the Miss Lepart channel with different franchises, and I'm just super excited. So again, thank you so much, and I will see you in the brand new video. Take care and have a fantastic day. Peace out.